Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing fine. So today I want to share my experience using a plenum in my 20 gallons planted aquarium. The tank was set up on May 6th, 2022, and there are some points that I would like to share with you. So first of all, I would like to answer why I am using a plenum. And to answer that, let me tell you that the main reason why I decided to install a plenum on my tank was mainly because of Dr. Kevin Novak's videos on his YouTube channel called Plenums and Anoxic Filter for the Aquarium. I'll be sharing the link to his channel and his most interesting videos in my opinion. He shares a lot of science on his channel. Some of it's quite hard to understand if you are not a science lean person, but still very interesting. I learned a lot of different concepts and processes that occur in our tanks. And I was quite amazed, to be honest, that a lot of the information shared on his channel somehow made a lot of sense to me, and that's why I decided to give it a try. I'm not afraid of trying new stuff on my tanks. Even if they fail, I feel like trying new stuff keeps the hobby interesting, and so that's why I decided to give it a try. Alright, so next I want to talk about how I set up my tank. The recipe that I used is not 100% what was recommended, but that was because I couldn't find the right type of kitty litter in my country, so I had to go for an alternative substrate setup. But I did try to be as close as I possibly could to the original recipe. I will also share the link to the video of how this tank was set up on the description of this video. But my substrate is mostly made out of dirt. I bought it from a local hobbyist, and I also use laterite powder and Sikkim fluorite red and flowable stratum. Now, onto the initial setup experience. I want to share my experience when I first set up this tank. I made a fishing cycle, and the cycle of this tank was in charge of one single fish. His name is Steve. I added Steve to this tank when he was about 3 days old, and this tank has become his only home. He is the only molly fish in this tank, so he lived alone during the cycle process because I did not want to deal with fish fry. The cycle was successfully complete after about 4 weeks. And at the initial setup, I had a lot of algae issues. I got hair algae, green dust algae mostly. Nothing impossible to deal with though, but definitely expected since I am using dirt. Dirt tends to leach a whole bunch of nutrients into the water column for a few months. And the fact that I was using grow lights instead of aquarium lights didn't help the cows either, but that was something that was addressed later on. I wouldn't say that it was an easy start, but since I love what I do, I didn't mind keeping up with the water changes to be able to dissolve the excess nutrients in the water column. The tank was properly established about 4 to 5 months after I set it up. The plants grew very well during that period of time. They didn't mind being planted over an undergravel filter at all. The plants keep growing extremely well up until today. So people saying that you can't grow plants over an undergravel filter are definitely lying to you. Now, about water parameters, I really never had much issues with my water. My local water has about 30 parts per million of nitrates out of the tap. The water is moderately hard. You can find my tap water parameters on my community tab on my channel in case you're curious to know the exact parameters. But in this tank, the nitrates are almost non-existent and they are consistently low. I do not add any nitrates to my tank, just potassium, iron, and micronutrients every week. I tested my water for nitrates and I couldn't make the nitrates go higher than 20 parts per million, and it took about a month and a half to get there. But I still make water changes. I am currently changing about 25% every 15 days. So only 2 water changes per month is very convenient for me. I actually spend a lot more time trimming the plants than changing the aquarium water. I also still get green dust algae on the glass, but it's nothing too extreme, and it is very easy to scrape off the glass with my blade algae scraper. And so right now I could tell you that the main The maintenance for this tank is extremely easy, and I think that the plenum is really doing its job in keeping everything alive. One very notorious change, though, that I would like to mention is the lack of cyanobacteria growing on my substrate and plants. On my previous planted tank, I did have some cyanobacteria growing on the substrate and plants, which was quite annoying because you could clearly see it, but not on my plenum aquarium, which is just great for me. I mean, having to deal with one less algae is always something good. Alright, so to wrap things up, I can definitely recommend the use of a plenum, and even more if you're looking to have your tank set up for a very long period of time. It might not be worth it if your tank will only be set up for a few months, but that's something still up to your preferences. It is really easy to set up, and you can use almost any type of substrate as long as you have some kind of source of iron. So, yep, that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you like it. Have a great day, and again, thanks for watching. Goodbye.